Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. How's everybody doing? It was a long week. It was a good week. Got a lot done this week. I was all over the place this week, to be quite frank. Started off, like any other week, little podcast show. Weather was all over the place this week. It was hot. It was cold. It rained. You can really tell that California is moving into the winter season. Well, actually, fall season, rather. But, yeah. It's been nice. I've been a little late to Halloween, and not even late to it, but this year's been funky. Like, I feel like I haven't been that in tune with, like, the holiday schedule. Let's just call it that, Halloween feels like it just came out of nowhere. I mean, I saw the Spirit Store a few months ago, and I can't believe it's already here. So, and it's interesting. My neighborhood, particularly during Halloween, it's a madhouse. I live in town, so we get legitimately 300 to 500 people, maybe even more than that. There is an endless line of children asking for candy. We'll go through like 6, 7, 8 fucking bags. It's crazy. It's madness. But here we are, back again. Last year we were Harry Potter themed. We do Harry Potter quite a bit. But yeah, we just blast the Harry Potter soundtrack like full fucking volume and kind of dress. I think we were Slytherin last year. So we kind of like have a little vibe going. But it's minimal but fun. Kids like it. Everybody likes it. Families like it. It's family friendly. Let's call it that. But anyways, that's besides the point. What did I do this week? This week we did a lot. We ended up going up to San Jose. Stevie's health update. Obviously, like I said, it's become a regular thing. It's not my favorite thing to have to talk about because I just want him to be better. But yeah, this week we went up to San Jose because here's the deal. Stevie's been in pain for what? I'd say arguably almost 6 months now. It's quite a bit of time to be in like pain, which is discomfort that is constant and chronic. And last week, I think I kind of talked about this. He said, maybe I didn't talk about this last week, but his doctor said that maybe he went and saw our family doctor, and he's like, I think what you're experiencing with this like throat pain you're getting is actually chemical irritation from taking so much like pharmaceutical drugs. So he's just like, cold stop, full stop, do not take any more drugs, right? Like, let's get you off the medicine. He's off the medicine. The acid reflux and all that nasty shit has kind of subsided. And he just happened to have an MRI scheduled in San Jose because here's the deal. Like, he doesn't want to get in the tube. I don't think anybody wants to get in the fucking MRI machine, right? It's like being in a fucking cryogenic chamber. It's uncomfortable. Nobody, especially if you're even a little claustrophobic. I used to get scared when people would lock me in a tight space as a kid. Like if somebody like held the other end of a door on a closet, you'd be like, dude, let me fucking out. It's natural, right? And anyways, he found this place in San Jose that does an upright MRI where it's almost like you sit in a chair and there's like this wall that kind of does it for you. And it's interesting. You can look it up. I don't remember the company. I think it's called like Phonar that makes the actual machine. But he found this. It's what worked for him. You have to pay out of pocket. It was a little pricey, but I think he's bill it back to insurance as long as you have legitimate reasons. But besides the point, this is the place he felt comfortable going, which has actually kind of like been not an issue, but it's been a little bit delay in him actually getting a proper diagnosis because I don't know if you've had an MRI recently. I had one maybe 2 or 3 years ago for my back. I was experiencing massive back pain, had to go to the hospital twice for sciatica. It was terrible. But I personally was just like, fuck it, put me in the tube. Like, I want to know what's wrong. And for him, he just couldn't, they hyped it up. They told him it's going to be fucking like the craziest experience of your life. You're going to need to be medicated if you are even a little scared. He's like, well, fuck that. I don't want to do that. Who would want to do that, right? So anyways, he goes up here. We drive up to San Jose. Kind of spent a little time. We hit Westfield, Santana Row, walked around. It was nice just to kill time. We got up there a little early because traffic. It was a Friday at a 5 o'clock appointment on a Friday in the South Bay. Who the fuck? Like, if that was the only option. Otherwise, it was MRIs or weeks of wait. So even this place having less volume than the average MRI place, because this is like some pretty emerging technology, the sitting MRI. It's a little bougie. That was the best they could do. 5 o'clock on a Friday, right? And he was the last appointment. When he got there, the guy's just like, dude, let's do this thing. But anyways, we went up there, hung out, got a little coffee. I got lucky. I got to hit Blue Bottle and Phil's. Stevie was in the fucking machine while we hit Phil's, but I was extra caffeinated. It was great. And yeah, it only really took 25 minutes after he filled out a little paperwork. Let's say like 30 minutes on the whole. We thought it was going to be an hour. MRIs are usually, they're a little longer than you'd think. But no, he went in there, said the guy was cool, threw on a movie for him. And he watched Live Free or Die Hard. He's like, fuck it, action. Right? They had DVDs. That's how old school. What's funny? These doctors, not only did he get this MRI, but they gave him the results on a CD. Like, It's 2025, a CD? Come on, guys. Like, send me a fucking JPEG or email or airdrop it to me. Let me just see the results, you know? But anyways, he goes in there, he's watching Live Free Die Hard, and essentially it went by quick. The guy came in and opened the door. He's like, hey, like the first image is done, like after 4 or 5 minutes. And he's like, oh, wow. Really quick, really efficient, and you don't have to lay in the fucking tube. You just sit in the chair. And he said it was actually like way less. I don't think he was expecting it to be frightening or anything, but he's like, it was just way less pressure, you know, just doing it like that. So yeah, it was, I went on a mobbing up to San Jose with my mom, Christine, Stevie, and I. So my mom, Christine, and I ended up, you know, killing a little time. We went to Phil's and we came back, and by the time we got our coffee, he's like, hey, I'm done. And like by the time we got there, he was waiting outside. He's like, oh, I'm ready to go. So to kill a little extra time, we ended up fucking hitting a pizza place. It was called A Slice in New York. It wasn't bad. I was expecting more. I think because I've been making so much homemade pizza, my expectations when I go out are so much higher, because I'm like, well, I'm cooking with like, I'm making the dough fresh. That literally maybe an hour before I cook it, maybe 2 hours, right? Let it rise a little. I'm cutting a fresh pineapple. The pepperoni, look, I can't make pepperoni. If I could, I would. But it's pretty much like I try to buy the nicest quality, or at least the freshest shit, right? The basil's from my garden. Like I go and hand chop that shit. I'm very into like the art of making the food good. Going to a place like this, it was highly ranked. I don't want to disparage it because they had excellent customer service, extremely nice staff. There's nothing, I can't say anything bad about it. I liked everything about it. The pizza was a little mid-range, and I'm not trying to talk shit because it's a business, and I if you're in San Jose, for what it's worth, it was decent. But yeah, you know, after having homemade pizza and like doing it the way I do it, maybe it's just like making your own food, because I've gotten super into preparing my own food, and it was okay. It was okay. There wasn't a lot of sauce, heavy cheese. The thing that got me is that the pineapple was canned. Okay, like I can understand canned pineapple for like volume. This place was busy too, like 50 orders at least in the, you know, half an hour, 45 minutes we were there. And the canned pineapple was just kind of like laid on the top of the pizza after the fact. It was not cooked with the pizza. Does that make sense? You know, like when you look at it, you're like, oh, that shit looks like it was in a fucking oven. This shit looked like they just threw it on there after. And same with the basil. The guy's like, it's hand chopped basil. And it was like, it was not hand chopped. It looked very like, I don't know, unnatural. So anyways, the pizza wasn't disappointing. We really ate it because, like, hey, like we were like, traffic is like an hour and 45 home. If we wait an hour, even the people at the MRI, the like, not an assistant, but the secretary, she told my brother, she's like, hey, like I'm from fucking Gilroy, and I wait till like 7 o'clock to drive home just because the traffic is madness. And it's super dangerous. I hate driving the 101 in the Bay Area. I've lived in Hollywood. I've driven all over Los Angeles. People will cut you off in LA, but people in the Bay Area won't even blinker, and they'll just go fucking 6 lanes across. They're just like death wish. You know what I mean? I was literally just so terrified. If I would have been driving, it would have been a little different. I'm not saying my mom was driving. It had nothing to do with her driving. It's just I'm a very aggressive, like vigilant driver when I'm on the road. So that was a little terrifying. But besides the point, I understood what the secretary was saying. Hey, maybe stick around for an hour or two, grab yourself some dinner, no traffic, smooth ride home. So that's what we did. And on the whole, the pizza place was great customer service. I wish the food was a little better. Stevie obviously is experiencing jaw pain, but he even said, he's like, you know, my jaw started to hurt after eating this pizza. And like the dough was thin and it wanted to be New York so bad. And like I even went on Reddit and some guy's like, I'm from Brooklyn. And he's like, and it's like an average New York City slice that you get on a corner for like $5. He's like, it's not the greatest, but he's like, it isn't completely a far cry from, let's say, New York style. The thing I did appreciate is it was huge. Like, and I don't mean like the pizza was so big. I mean like it was stretched very wide, and it's tough when you're doing a home kitchen. I think the largest I can do in mine is 16 inches because of just, you know, honestly, the size of it. The dimensions aren't large enough. I don't have a commercial oven. So for me, like my New York is a 16, but if I could stretch it just massive like they did and just like, you know, sauce, cheese, all spread fucking nice and wide, I guess, it'd be nice. But besides the point, the pizza wasn't bad, wasn't great. We ate not just because of hunger. We got 2 pizzas. We got 1 cheese, pineapple pep, and then we got another one that was just no cheese, pineapple and pepperoni. And like, could have been a little saucier. I won't lie. Maybe that's something like when you start making your own food, you're like, hey, like I make it exactly how I want it. So it's hard to fuck up, but it's just unfortunate because like 2 nights before, I usually make Detroit style. That's my specialty. And like, I love New York. That was like, I consider that my first love of pizza, but I went back and made a New York after probably like 3 or 4 months of really just never making one. And it was maybe the best pizza I've ever made. So following it up with this place, It was tough, you know. I won't even give it a numerical ranking, but for what it's worth, great people, really nice. There was also this Army supply, like, I don't even know, maybe it's called San Jose, like Army Surplus or something, or Bascom Surplus. But it was cool. You know, I wasn't expecting to go in there. I don't know if you've ever been to J&S Army Surplus in like Moss Landing, but it was the equivalent of that in San Jose. And like, I don't know why this pizza place was next to this, but hey, it made for a great place to kill fucking 25 minutes while you wait for 2 pies to get baked. Walked around, checked shit out. It's a little scary, some of the military shit when you see it in person. Well, fuck, like this gas mask. Like, this is some real shit. Like, people actually, you know, use this stuff. It's just, I don't know, kind of made it feel more close to home, you know. And also they had like foreign military outfits and shit. It's just strange. Like, because, you know, I think Americans, we see like the reality, sure, of like a war and all that. But then we also have like the Hollywood version where like everything is associated with something. And it was like, I don't know, there's like this underlying subconscious connotation that goes with it that makes you think like, oh shit, like that hat looks a little, I don't know, a little scary. But anyways, besides the point, we went around there. They had a ton of camping shit, knives, boots, fucking Carhartt for days. It was cool. It was like the store that like you don't want to let your dad go into because he'll just like drop $5,000 and be like, haven't you seen this knife or like these boots, like straight up. But anyways, that was super cool. Got home safe. Stevie's results from the MRI said that basically this ongoing thing is caused by a muscle spasm, that one of the symptoms is TMJ. They believe it's in his neck or something. No skeletal issues. There's a little bit of like regular 30-year-old man muscle issues. So happy that we have a diagnosis. That means that the doctor can be able to treat it, probably with some like, I don't think it's a cortisone injection. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm saying that wrong, but probably a little bit more muscle relaxant because he had it, but he wasn't taking it religiously because he didn't think initially that was a problem, but that was helpful, very helpful. Advil, they told him to back off because the ibuprofen, I think, was causing some of the chemical irritation. But on the whole, it seems like TMJ was the initial thing. And now the solution is, hey, you've got some muscle pain. Let's fix this, which would be great because he needs to get back to 100%. And he's been feeling a lot better this week. Even traveling to San Jose, he was in good spirits. So very happy that he's recovering. That means we can also just get back to just doing bigger and better things. And speaking of bigger and better things, we actually had a really great thing happen yesterday. You know, Christine got a C-mail. I think I mentioned it last week. I think I did. And anyways, a C-mail, I'll reiterate it for you now, is a casting email sent directly from the casting director, right? In this case, Christine had not applied for this role. So she was cold emailed a C-mail, which is great. That means somebody's seen you and they know your work and they want to have you in it. And that's exactly right. She got the C-mail, she did the audition, and they said, hey, we want to do a chemistry read. Awesome, right? Natural progression of something like this. The chemistry read was set for Sunday yesterday. And we pretty much like, she rehearsed that thing to death. You know, she had the side, she was so zoned in. Anyway, we were like, hey, Stevie and I were like, we'll go out in the garage or something. We'll just like take a walk. We'll stay away from the house while you actually do the chemistry read, give you the full privacy, you know, full range to go crazy on this thing. So that's what we do. We get a call maybe like 40 minutes later. And she's just like, oh no, like it went so bad. And we were like, what? You were prepared for this. This is awesome. So we ask her and tell us the story. She says, you know, she gets on the Zoom. She's the first one there. She thinks, right? And she's a little early. And then they, you know, put her in and it's like the casting director and all the people. And I guess like, you know, producer, director, the other actor that she had to do the chemistry read with. And anyways, the video starts, or not the video. They're like, hey, like they do the little, you know, Swiss chit chat. Hey, how are you doing? Okay, let's read. The other actor starts and he just does a scene that she's just like, what the fuck is this? Completely different than what she's been rehearsing for, which as an actor, it's just, she even said it. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't think I have this scene. And it ended up being that the casting director had sent her the right character, but the wrong scene to rehearse, right? So she's had like a week to get ready. She's like dialed in. She's fucking locked in to get this role. And, you know, the first thing the other actor says is the other lines. And she's like, he was so good. He was a fucking pro. Like his delivery was great. And I'm like, you know, he's probably had time to practice the scene. I'm not saying he's not great, but I'm saying there's a reason. He's probably, you know, whatever, had it. So they're like, hold on 1 second. They pause the Zoom. The casting director sends her the new sides. She gets them. She's just like, okay, I'm going to try and learn these in like 2 minutes, right? And then she said when she got back on the Zoom, they're like, okay, let's try it. And she just said it was tough. It was tough trying to like go right into like understanding the emotions that needed to be delivered in each beat. And like, it's usually pretty organic, but like when you're doing something with another actor, like You want to have a synergy or match. In this case, it was a literal chemistry test. You want to make sure you have chemistry. So she just felt like it was stressful because there was like 8 people on the Zoom or something. She wasn't expecting that, but it's like, that's part of the, creative process. Like there's going to be other people on set. I personally, as a director, like to make it very intimate, at least amount of people possible. Cause I want these actors to feel just like realism. Like I don't want them to think like, oh, there's 100 lights and 100 people staring at you and some guy's holding his cough in the background so he doesn't ruin the take. It's a lot of pressure, and like I don't dislike pressure. I take pressure well, but there's something different about doing something so low key. Besides the point, Christine goes and does the audition, and she's like, I just felt like after she's like, thank you. They're like, okay, Christine, we'll call you the typical ending of it, right? She comes outside and she's telling us the story, and she's just like, God, I just feel like it could have gone so much better. I feel like I wasn't prepared. And it's like, well, she kind of told us her woes and how like she felt like she read it flat and like not the best she could. And I'm just like, hey, like one, it's really not your fault. It's really nobody's fault. It's an honest accident. Mistakes happen. Everybody's human, dude. Like you think the casting director meant to send her the wrong sides? Absolutely not. And I told her, you got to put yourself in her shoes. They're not mad that you weren't prepared. They're probably not even mad at the casting director. They're probably like, damn, like we really want her. I hope we can get her to not even like read the lines different, but what am I trying to say here? I guess that nobody's rooting for you to fail. Everybody wants everybody to do good because they're not casting you to be like putting you in a pressure spot. They're like, I hope we can make her as comfortable as possible so that our film comes out amazing. That's really the thing. And I was like, just keep thinking that because somebody's going to maybe get chewed out or somebody's going to be like, hey, dude, like, how did you not send her to the right sides? But nobody's trying to cause a problem. This is a collaborative effort. You got to it takes a village to make a movie. Even me saying like, oh, a few people, like, yeah, like maybe I could do a lot of it myself, but there's other people have to be involved in your artistic pursuit because that's part of it. And you got to trust people. And that's exactly what they did here. They trusted her to do this. And maybe there was an accident on the side. She sent her the right character. It was the sides weren't right. The scene wasn't right. And Christine was just bummed that she wasn't prepared because she was ready to she thought she had the right scene. She was ready to give it her all, right? And she wanted to make a good impression and get the role. And it's all very, very reasonable shit. Anyways, after she told us her problems, I'm like, hey, let's run to the grocery store. I need to get a couple things. I had to get a bag of coffee beans, a little blueberry, some Brussels sprouts. And that was probably a 20-minute trip. When we got back, she's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to redo that scene with Stevie. We're going to just record it, send it in like another audition. And you know what? Just for like insurance policy. I told her personally, is like, I think like this is like, it's out of your control. Like she didn't have a Johnny drama, like where like she got in the room and like turned around and just couldn't perform. That wasn't it. She was put in a very in the moment tough position. And I said like, look, I think they're going to have empathy for that. They're going to be like, hey, look, like they already liked you. They cold emailed you on this. You didn't even submit and they wanted you. They're not going to let you feel like you didn't get your best shot because of like a mistake that was made, an honest mistake. And I think like when you're an actor though, you're looking at it like, well, I don't want to fuck up and like, yada, yada, yada. And I said, look, everybody understands. But regardless, she did those, what do you call it? Those new takes of the audition, and she sent them in. And you know what? An hour and a half later, they said, hey, Christine, you've got the role. So I want to say first and foremost, congratulations, because you know what? Everyone needs a win. And I think Christine, she said she really needed it. She wins all the time in life. But having a win like this, it just reminds you of why you do it, and there's an excitement, and it's the thing I kind of like about Hollywood or just the creative field is there's always another thing. Like you finish a project and you feel the fucking high, and it's so good. But you know what? You can always look forward to doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And like, you know what? If I had 1,000 years, I don't think I'd have enough time for a creative pursuit. Like I just love it, and I know Christine loves it. Stevie loves it. Stevie was giving it his all even in these auditions. Like he's like, how's my performance? I'm like, it's fucking good, dude. Get better so we can make more movies. And yeah, man, it was good. And it feels great. We're going to be in LA this week, actually. Christine has a meeting with I believe it's the director. And hopefully Stevie's feeling well enough. Otherwise, I'll probably go as part of her entourage just to, support. I also don't mind the trip to LA at all. We've been kind of talking about possibly moving back there as it is. So be nice to go down, kind of see the temperature, touch grass, and probably eat. Honestly, like when I go to LA, I'm just kind of shameless. I'm like, fuck, like, oh, I saw that restaurant on Instagram. Oh, I remember that spot was pretty good when I was living there. And it's like, I don't know, LA might be one of the greatest food cities. I feel like people don't talk about it enough, but when I first moved to LA, I was like, oh, the food here is going to be shit. Cause it's kind of like when you're from Monterey County, like the ag's really fresh. You're near the ocean. You get fresh like seafood. Like, I don't know, when you see a seafood restaurant in like Kentucky, you're like, I don't know, like how fresh is that sushi? I'm not trying to hate, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I remember going to DC even as a kid, and McDonald's had like their lettuce and like tomatoes were like soft. I'm like, God damn, like this produce is like, it looked a fucking 3 or 4 days old. It's probably driven across the United States and ripening up on the ride. And it's all besides the point. But yeah, LA's just, dude, great food city, great culture city. I'm just interested in seeing it because a lot of people have said the Hollywood business has run away from Los Angeles, and I don't think they're wrong. I just heard Andrew Schultz on Rogan talking about how they shot a movie in Australia, and he's like, look, when you're making a $10 million rom-com, you don't really have the money to shoot in LA, so like going to Australia and getting like a 60% tax break is pretty good. He's like, but when you're shooting a $200 million movie and you're getting a 60% tax break, how can you fucking argue with not shooting somewhere else? And I think that is a problem. Los Angeles should be the easiest place to make a fucking movie. I always see in the New Yorker forums on like Facebook or Reddit, people are like, hey, like we just don't get permits in New York. Like you just don't need them. You want to shoot in Central Park, go pop up the fucking camera. Who's going to stop you? Your biggest risk is getting fucking robbed at that point, right? Or having, a peanut gallery. Besides the point though, Los Angeles has made it so difficult to shoot in, and it's also cut out a lot of industry jobs. Like people that used to just gaff or like, grip, basic jobs that are either below the line, not like above the line jobs. They've been fucked. They've been fucked. It used to just be like, hey, like you could be a working, I wouldn't even call it blue collar. You get paid pretty good to do these gigs, but like you used to be like a working film person, and it's a problem. The industry's really ran away from LA, and like that's like not even a fear of mine moving back because I'm pretty indie. Like I just am gonna go out and make something. I'm not even gonna not do it the right way, but I'm gonna do it my way. And like no one can tell me no, and I'm not gonna fucking stop doing it the way I do it. And hearing these guys talk though about just tax breaks and how like, even like New Jersey, I guess Netflix is building another studio there. I know they were building one, I think in Vegas or maybe it was somewhere else, but why not LA? Is what it's known for is, the Hollywood dream, getting famous, being in movies, all that fucking shit that people move there. It is true. And it seems like that's becoming less of a thing there. But I also am optimistic because I feel like cities go through like renaissance phases. I feel like LA, like I was living there 10 years ago. It was fucking magical. Like it was like the LA you'd see in like a show like Entourage or something. It was just like fun. You go out, there's something going on, there's people out. You'd see celebrities, you'd see fucking whoever. And not like going fucking up to them, but like you just see people, you're like, oh, holy shit, they're so-and-so. It used to just be so lively. And I feel like that's changed. It's just like, culture has shifted so much there. And like, I just hope it gets back to where it was, especially for the film business in particular. Because, it needs to be there. That is why, and that's also why I've had like not indecisiveness of moving back to Los Angeles. Cause I've looked at other cities, all across America. And I don't know, like LA still to me, it will always be the home of entertainment. They just need to make some changes, whether that's financially to make it easier to shoot a movie, maybe cut back some red tape, get rid of the fucking like permitting process like Film LA. I'm not trying to bash on Film LA, but it's like, I heard you have to get a permit to shoot in your own fucking house. Give me a break. That mean if I was shooting this podcast, maybe I'd have to get a permit or something. Like it's just nonsense. And it's kind of California on a whole. Like it's being suffocated by red tape and probably overtaxation, to be quite frank. And it needs to go away. It needs to be easier. You need to give people some room to fucking breathe, especially in a business like Hollywood where I don't know if they're trying to tax the fucking studios and the $1 billion fucking companies because the little guy is suffering and they're not able to produce the independent film that they'd like to produce because the cost of living on top of the cost of fucking the taxation and the permitting process, it's fucking insane. So that's just my 2 cents on that, especially hearing it from bigger, artists. It's really, I don't know. It's not good for the business and it's not good for the city. And that's not going to discourage me from moving down there, enjoying myself while I'm there. I'm going to enjoy it very, very fucking much. And also I'm going to try and interview some friends while I'm down there. I got a lot of people in LA. Might bring the little portable studio. It will not be the unscripted set you see around you right now, but yeah, food for thought. Definitely if we can make time for it. I'd love to do that and just, connect, network, talk with people and, enjoy the city, see the sights, maybe not see the sights, but definitely get a bite to eat and enjoy all that. And yeah, that's another thing too, as I've kind of talked about, but the interviews, like I'm definitely 100 fucking 1000% pushing forward with that. I've had a lot of people reach out. I'm trying to book it basically for 2026. I'm sure I'll do some, like I said, even if I do some during the tail end of the year, that'll be great, but yeah, it's like not even a long time coming, but I feel like it's just going to be what really helps amplify the growth on the podcast, as well as like reach, I guess, like amplify the fucking growth, but also reach, a new audience. But I think that's the thing, is like, that's like the whole point of the interview, is it's exponential growth, right? You connect with somebody, their audience hears it, they see them, they hear you, they like you, they stick around, they watch more, and I think it's the beauty of it. And God, like, I've really been thinking about it. I actually talked to my buddy Anthony. He was driving back from Dublin last night out in Ireland. It was probably like, I think he said it was 12:30, and he's like, dude, like, gotta talk, because like I'm driving home late night. And I was like, dude, I get it. I've had those calls many times. It was a great conversation, but yeah, even for him, he was going out there to connect and see an old friend. And it's like, that's what I want with a podcast, but like, not in that scenario, obviously his is specific, but I'm saying like, just like talking to people, connecting, getting back out there in terms of like the interview thing, not even getting back out there, but starting that is going to just like, it's going to lead to so many more people that I get to talk to and connect with. And just like I said, the exponential growth. And that's something we talked about too. It's just like, hey, it's kind of like how you start the wildfires. Like you throw a match, into the brush and it just ignites. And like, the interviews are that's the match thrown into the Kindle and the Tinder. And, I think that's really what will make it explode, and not overnight. Who knows? It might take a while, but that's my goal with this right now, is really to just keep connecting, keep networking, keep having really good conversations with people, and not just myself, which I do enjoy doing this. But yeah, what else did I see this week? I actually saw, on that note of talking to yourself, I really, I love Mark Maron's rants, and I saw that he's like officially, like, he's done with the podcast, right? I think his last interview was Obama, and that's all good and well, but the one he did before that was just funny. He was talking about how he started his podcast, his second to last pod, and it really reminded me a lot of what I'm doing right now. Not in the sense of like being like a Mark Maron, but like just why he started it, why he was doing it at his house, like in his fucking garage, and just trying to, I don't know, just trying to find himself as much as find other truths within the podcast. And like, that's something that's been top of mind for me. Cause like, I don't, I started doing this, and like the reaction I got from people is way different than I thought it would be. Very positive. A lot of people really appreciate the show. And if you are a regular listener, like, thank you for listening. Cause like just even one positive comment, or just like DMs that say like, hey, like I really like felt motivated or inspired or whatever, like the positivity. It's like, it's so good to hear that, because that's really like, at the end of the day, like my benefit of doing this is, sure, like there's some selfishness, like I get to put myself out there and all that. But like, really, if somebody else is receiving the benefits of this, I don't care if it's one fucking person, dude. Like I'm going to keep talking. And I just thank you guys for listening. That's like my real, point there, is that, you don't know what's going to happen when you put yourself out like this. There could just be, I've had a few, haters and all that, but like, I'm not going to talk about that. This is meant to connect, grow, and make people feel less alone on the creative journey, and not even just a creative journey, just in life in general. And hopefully that's what it's doing. I want people to feel like there's a voice that they can listen to and not feel as alone in the journey. And you're not alone. There's other people doing this with the same thoughts, insecurities, doubts, all that bullshit. And, even this week, the theme of my last week was, honestly, I got a lot of disrespect this past week. I had a lot of, I wouldn't even call it rejection. Just interesting. And, when people don't respect you in the way that maybe you thought they did, or vice versa, it teaches you a lesson. My thing is, I kind of only ask once. And like, if I feel like the vibe isn't right, it's kind of like, okay, well, that's fine. But like, don't expect me to be as welcoming later if there's something that, I don't want to talk negative, but if like you offer somebody something and the rejection or the response is not what you thought, it can rub you the wrong way. And like, sometimes it's something to think about. It's just like, and it comes with maturity. I think I'm at a point where like, I can politely say no, or do this or that, or, stand up for myself. I got a fucking backbone and a spine, right? And it all comes with time. But like, that was kind of the thing. And I had like, people close to me say some things that I just wasn't very happy with. And it's all good, but it's like perseverance is really the word I want to get to, because despite being maybe like stung or annoyed, or having even just a little wounded pride, full transparency, you just got to persevere. It's like, fuck it. You know what? Like, one person or one thing cannot dictate how you operate and how you keep moving forward through like, the storm of life. And like, life is a fucking storm, dude. It's a big, nasty fucking storm, and you got to push through, and you got to fucking never stop trying. That's the thing too, is like, I'm a pretty positive person. I like to keep it very like positive and move forward, but I have my good days and my bad days. And like 90% are great, where I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm getting up this morning, I'm walking, I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to fucking seize the day, you know? And that's all you can do. And when you do that, things happen. You take action, you move forward, even if it's small wins. Like, you know, last week I did the hat, and I will link that fucking secret pizza hat. I got a bunch of DMs on that too. If you want it, I'll post it in my story or some shit like that. Thank you if you do buy it. It's super fucking cool. I think it's just a cool looking hat, to be quite frank. Not even like trying to sell it, but we've gotten compliments in public too. It almost reminds me of Pizza Planet, if that makes sense. It's not the same, but like I get those vibes. Christine said it reminded her of Scoops Ahoy from Stranger Things, which I think that's coming out soon too. But besides the point, there's the small wins. Like, hey, I'm going to write a script, which, you know, could be a big win depending on what it is. But the small wins, like the audition led to the chemistry read that led to her getting the role. The big win's the role, right? And then the even bigger win is having another piece of work to add to your IMDb and to put out into the world. My point more so is that right now I've been focusing on the small wins, and I'm going to start focusing on even bigger wins soon. I think this year, like I said, it was an interesting year. It was a transitional year. I did a lot of like, not even soul searching, but just finding myself and like my voice. And like, I feel like my identity as a creative has been shaped even further thanks to the podcast and just natural course of events. Now we're also in an interesting time. The fall is here, right? And it's like a literal change of seasons, but I also feel like I'm going through a season of life. Like I feel like for me personally, I'm in a very career growth phase and perhaps even in a mental growth phase where I feel like I've just really gotten a good grip on everything in life. Nothing's feeling like it's sliding out of my control anymore. I feel like I just like everything's in control, and not in like I got fucking control. I mean, like I have made peace with the things I can control, and I have let go of the things I can't. And that's really all you can do. Once you start doing that, like I was also like getting so in my head and overthinking about so many things, creative pursuit, this, that, communication, like talking to certain people, like, should I talk to this person? It's just like, fuck it, dude. Just do whatever you want to fucking do. And I'm usually not even that in my head about it, but like sometimes different things, different feelings make you think a certain way. And it's just like, fuck it, fire away, you know? And that's kind of been the theme of, other than like the other theme of like me saying like, oh, like maybe I got a little annoyed by some shit this week, but overall, no, like I'm not annoyed. I'm happy. I'm feeling fucking good. I'm feeling like I'm going to be in LA for a minute, and Christine just got this role, and like things are moving forward. Like there's ebbs and flows, dude. Ups and downs. Life's a fucking roller coaster. And you know what? I'm strapped in this motherfucker all the way till the end. Let's see. What did I watch this week? I got the chance to watch 2 McConaughey movies. I've watched some other shit. Been burning through Game of Thrones. It's pretty good. I haven't seen it before, so it's really interesting. And it's actually getting really good. I'm in season 3. Don't fucking spoil it. Don't be that guy. Come on. Let me enjoy this thing. All right. I know I slept on it, but if you spoil it for me, I'll spoil every fucking show you've ever wanted to watch. Believe me. Anyways, I digress. First movie I watched by McConaughey, which let me actually preface this. I had heard McConaughey talk on Rogan recently, and he's done a massive amount of press pushing his new book. I can't remember what it's called, Poems and something. He's cool. McConaughey's just, he's fucking, who doesn't like Matthew McConaughey? If you don't like Matthew McConaughey, it's questionable. That's a red flag, you know. This motherfucker is nice as fuck. He has no scandals. He's a cool dude, right? Won an Oscar, had a great Oscar-winning speech. He's just a real OG American guy. I love McConaughey, and you know what? He's living the American dream. He's an inspiration to all. Now, the first movie I watched with Matthew McConaughey was The Lincoln Lawyer, which I've seen many times, but I haven't seen in a while. This movie is directed by Brad Furman, written by John Romano from Michael Connelly's novel, starring Matthew McConaughey, Marissa Tomei, Ryan Philippe, and William H. Macy. Dude, stellar cast, unbelievable fucking screenplay. Once again, now that I'm more seasoned as a filmmaker when I watch movies, I see the script. This script must have been fucking awesome to read, because McConaughey probably read it and was like, yeah, like, make sure I get this. Not, well, hopefully I get it. Sorry, guys, there's a garbage fucking truck outside. Loud as shit, so if you hear that. But anyways, McConaughey probably read the script and was like, yeah, I want it. And everyone else who read it probably thought the same thing. I don't remember if this was a hot script when it came out. It was 2011. I was a fucking senior in high school when this thing was getting made or coming out. But besides the point, really good. I love the character, the actual lawyer. I can't remember his name at the moment. But the way McConaughey played this lawyer, he's kind of a dirty lawyer. He doesn't have morals. But when he gets into a position where he begins to question his decisions and maybe like not even the morality of what he's doing, but how his lack of has caused an innocent man to go to jail for something he didn't do, which isn't the main meat of the story, but it definitely is a turning point for him in terms of his internal feelings. Because typically he's just the kind of guy who's like, look, he's a defense attorney. He gets you out of the crime. He does not help you pursue as a victim, right? And he's a criminal defense attorney, which is different than civil. And, they kind of talk about both, but this is more, let's say defense driven. And goddamn, the premise of the story, I don't know if you've seen it, is basically he's a lawyer, rolls around in Lincoln, he's got a driver, and his representation is of many different clients, like druggies, prostitutes, etc. And motorcycle riders, like biker gangs. And he happens to get this rich kid who requests him, and the kid's accused of like a rape or like sexual assault crime. And the guy claims innocence. He's like, sure, you're innocent. Like, I don't really fucking care because I'm a criminal defense attorney. I'm going to try and get you out. You're just going to have to pay me. He gets a ridiculous retainer, like 100 G's up front, $550 an hour. It's way more than he's making. In the beginning, he's telling people like, hey, just give me $5,000. He's a hustler, dude. He's a fucking grade A hustler. He's honestly really, really good at business, and maybe not perhaps in the most ethical way, but he is a master manipulator, even as an attorney, which I've dealt with a lot of fucking attorneys. Attorneys can either be really like straight shooters or they are absolute menaces. Not disparaging all attorneys, but they're smart motherfuckers. They're out to fuck you. And they will play every fucking trick in the book. They will scare tactic. I don't care what they say about ethics and laws. Lawyers do not fucking care. I've had lawyers send me disqualifying emails that are just outrageous. Like, I was like, I cannot believe a fucking person who has taken the bar is saying this to me, because I've represented myself. So sometimes I think they think like, hey, if you're improper, you're just an idiot. And it's like, no, I'm not an idiot. I was like, I think you're an idiot for sending this type of email. This is like a disqualifying. If I showed the judge, they'd be like, you're threatening someone through email? Anyways, besides the point, McConaughey is that unethical lawyer in this that would send you a disqualifying email. He would call you on a payphone and say like, listen up, like I know this about you, like a blackmailing type attorney. He's not quite Roy Cohn, but he dabbles on that line of like unethical conduct. Let's just say that. But he is good at what he does, and he does get people free. And he's charming. He's charismatic as McConaughey, right? So anyways, he gets this client. This guy's a complete piece of fucking shit. You don't know that till later, but it unveils through the plot. And if you haven't seen Lincoln Lawyer, this is 2011. Like, come on. There's a TV series about it now. They've made it twice. Anyways, the general premise is his client ends up being very unethical, very guilty, per se. And I won't ruin the twist, but there's other forces that be. And McConaughey's performance in this was just fucking 10 out of 10. Also, like I've said this so many times, they don't make them like they used to. The Lincoln Lawyer held up fucking strong for a 2011 release, which I think is prime time for cinema. The 2010s were unbelievable, I can't think of anything else that came out in 2011 off the top of my head, but if you go look, it's probably just a streak of fucking hits. Movies that you would consider classics, or at least contemporary classics. Now, the Lincoln Lawyer on a whole was just, like I said, the movie itself was about like, maybe not even the dichotomy, but like this man's choices between justice, morality, doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing, playing dirty or playing fair. He kind of says it. I've heard lawyers even say this, like, you're not really getting justice when you go to court. And this is where people say the system is broken. You're getting the best possible outcome or the result. It's sad, but true. Justice is rarely served. And when it is, that's a beautiful day in America. But justice is not usually served. There's usually a compromise made on both behalves, because somebody guilty will never admit to the fact, and somebody who's a victim, they can only do so much, especially in a criminal court. And in this movie, they show how people, even the victim, can sometimes be pursuing a case on false pretense and bad faith. Let's just say that, rather than good faith. Something did happen. So this movie dabbles in that. McConaughey's also got a sleuth, William H. Macy's character, who gives them quite a bit of information ahead of time, or information they wouldn't be privy to as opposing counsel. And when they do get it, it changes the game. Now, William H. Macy's character is eventually assassinated in the film, murdered. And it's because they're so good at their, kind of like background work and like putting together all the pieces that maybe people wouldn't get admitted in discovery in court. And that's what made it so good, is that they know how to construct their narrative or get all the information even outside of the system. And that makes them dangerous, especially as a criminal defense attorney. It means you could probably find some dirt or some little like smoking gun that could save your client. And that's exactly what he does. And the movie's fucking crazy. I won't ruin it. It is a redemption tale, at least for McConaughey's character, because despite all the shit he's done, he tries to make it right. And I think That's his character arc. And that's what, that's the story. If you want to just get it as plain as fucking the timeless elements, a man who's been living his life for profit, maybe immorally, doing things that he shouldn't do for the fuck of it is, it kind of reminds me of Juror Number 2, Clint Eastwood's movie. There's a prosecutor in the film who is a defense prosecutor, right? I think she might be a DA. No, she's not a DA, but she's a defense prosecutor attorney, right? And she fucking puts away an innocent man, or is determined to do so just based off the fact she wants to win. And it's no different for McConaughey. He wants to defend his client even if they're guilty of sin, because it's the fucking game. It's the sport. The best possible outcome. You don't go to jail. You don't get a death sentence. You don't go to prison. Sad but true. And that movie really captured it. And and if you haven't seen Juror Number 2, Clint's most recent outing, really good. For a 94, 93-year-old man, he makes incredible work still. Okay, so we watched The Lincoln Lawyer, 2011. Really good, 10 out of 10. Can't say enough good. Well, McConaughey's back. He's back from his little hiatus from the film world, per se. I know he was kind of chilling, writing, taking a little break from the big screen. Here and there, using shit. But the other movie I watched of his was the new Paul Greengrass film, The Last Bus. I don't know if you've heard about this film. It's really, really interesting because it's kind of close to home. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you do, but the Paradise Fires in 2018. I'll give you a little bit of background on my familiarity with the area. A lot of my buddies went to Chico after high school, and I'd visit up there every now and then. And a lot of kids that lived in Chico also went to Butte, the community college. So Butte County is where the fire took place. And a lot of people in Butte like to go to Paradise, the town. And I remember going with my buddy Dominic. We drove out to Paradise to a camera lens shop. And I remember I was like, this looks like a camping town. Or like when you go to a lake, like that. Very quaint, super Northern California. Almost felt like just very nice, like slice of Americana, but like that mountainy vibe. Maybe gold country kind of thing. And I thought, wow, what a nice place. And I remember driving. We stopped on the side of the road and we filmed these giant power cables. And I just didn't think anything of it at the time. Like, wow, it looks like Seven. Like Seven, like what's in the box? Like that location. I thought it was amazing. It looked beautiful. And it turns out that, the fires just a few years later, because it was probably 2013 I was up there, 6, 7 years later, there's this massive fucking fire, 5 years later even, that just decimates an entire city. And that's the premise of the film, is that The Last Bus is McConaughey. He portrays a real life person. I think his name was Kevin McKay. It was Kevin McKay. And there's some other people, not too many names in it. There's the girl from Barbie. I don't want to mess her name up. I think it's America Ferreira. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but she's good. She's really good. She's in a lot of good stuff. She's also in Dumb Money and, I've seen her in a ton of shit. She might have been Ugly Betty. I think that's who she is. But besides the point, she's like a minor character that ends up becoming a more major player with McConaughey on the bus. But the premise is McConaughey is a dad who is divorced. He's come back home to take care of his ailing mother. His father's just passed away. At the beginning of the movie, they show his dog get euthanized. It's horrible. His life sucks, right? His son comes home from school. He's 15. He's sick. His dad thinks he's, faking sick. And he's just like, hey, you can't fucking do this. You need to finish school because I didn't and my life fucking sucks. And they get in a fight and it's just all downhill from there. Then he goes to his job. And of course, the fucking dispatcher at the bus, he drives a school bus, is just giving him a hard time. Hey, you're not on time. You didn't fill up the fucking bus. Hey, there's maintenance coming up. You can't get extra shifts because you're the new guy. It seems like everything's working against him, right? And he just wants to make it honest. He's trying his fucking hardest. And he's at the end of his line. He's just like, God damn, I don't know if I can keep up with this. His ex-wife's also calling because the kid's sick. And it all blows up, right? Well, we see his life. It's not great. Then it cuts to the actual inciting incident of the film, which is the power cables that PG&E has set up deep in the mountains. One of them falls. It's faulty and it causes sparks that start a fire. I'm not sure if that's a legitimate cause of this fire, if that's the Hollywood fictionalized version. I want to say it is, but that's to the same extent. PG&E was at fault. This thing starts a huge fire. It breaks out. Pretty much impossible to get to. They're under-resourced, underfunded. Water was troublesome to get. Additional emergency was difficult to get. People didn't have a lot of time for a heads up. And the real sick thing is the night before this happened is PG&E had a red flag warning for 80-mile-an-hour winds. They did nothing to prepare for it. They didn't go up there and shut off power. It turns out later they discovered some of this equipment was 100 years old and had never been maintained. Complete fucking negligence. Well, we'll get to the more details of that, but the meat of the story is McConaughey, based on a true story, during the Paradise Fires, this guy, Kevin McKay, drove the bus. He was already on his way back, and they started evacuating schools, drives his bus back to this elementary school where there's no one to get these kids, 23 abandoned kids or 24 kids, and the teacher drives back, picks him up and says like, hey, we need to get the fuck out of here. He's a lifer. He is from paradise. He had lived somewhere else, but he was from paradise. He had moved back like with the family. He knows it better than anyone, back of his fucking hand. And as he's navigating down the mountain, the fire just keeps growing and getting around him. There's massive traffic jams. It's complete chaos. It really shows you, and it's honestly very reminiscent of the Palisades fire, and it's so disappointing that the state and the government could not take care of people in this situation. I understand this is a wildfire, and maybe not even the state so much as PG&E is the fucking blame. The reason I even brought up my initial thing about my buddy Dominic and going out there is that, you go out to these places, you see it, you're like, beautiful, great. You never think like this is what's going to happen in a few years, or like it can't happen near you, and it's just sick. These people were mostly probably just honest working class people, and 84 people ended up dying. They couldn't get out. Traffic, no preparation. I don't blame the firefighters. I don't blame any of that. I blame fucking PG&E. How can you not maintain something after fucking robbing the people of California for fucking years? PG&E, even during the winter, I won't even run my heater sometimes, and they jack this fucking thing up to $1,000 a month. They're super unethical fucking company. They're not looking out for the client or the customer, and to have 84 fucking people die because you wouldn't maintain something is absolutely ridiculous. $13.5 billion in wrongful death lawsuits, as well as 18,000 structures destroyed. It's as bad as Palisades, if not worse. I think Palisades might have had more structural damage, maybe less death. Just unacceptable. Innocent people fucking died. You cannot have this, especially not in 2025 in the United States of America. And I get this happened a few years ago, but regardless, it makes me upset because maybe it is close to home, but it's also like this isn't the first time it happened. I also experienced a river fire in 2020. You could look it up on Wikipedia. I literally sat on my roof and watched a fire started by a lightning strike, right? And once again, it's not the fire department. They saved it. They never burned down our house. Some homes did get burned down. I've driven by empty lots. This is a constant problem, and it's not getting solved. And the state of California needs to do way, way fucking better for the people. This can never happen again. And unfortunately, it did happen. It happened in Los Angeles. I know they caught an arsonist, but he didn't start all those fucking fires. And I don't know how it initially started, if it was a wildfire. I've even driven down to LA and been on the 5 and looked over and seen fucking, fires. Like, it's a little mind blowing that we don't have this more under control. And I don't know what it is. I understand there's like natural elements, and this has been going on my whole life, but The Last Bus was good. It really paid off emotionally. Paul Greengrass, I also remember him doing United 93. He does like historical events, natural disasters. But in this one in particular, I think it was just upsetting because just the circumstances people were put in. Not just McConaughey as an adult, but children were put in these circumstances of absolute terror. Fire is one of nature's greatest forces, and to see how just fucking chaotic it was. On top of his personal story, the Kevin McKay person story, it tied in beautifully narratively. Sometimes life, writes itself, whatever, or, art imitates life rather. And I think that it's almost poetic the way they did it. And, and I'm sure in the moment, this Kevin McKay guy was not thinking about like, oh, don't make a movie. He's thinking about saving lives, and that's the most important thing. He didn't have to go back. He didn't have to do what he did. And that guy's a fucking hero. So really good. McConaughey also, I think he picked a great script. Our only critique on the movie is the first 45 was it took a little while to get to the like actual fire and all that. But if I watched it again, I don't think I would care. It's just the one critique. It's like, okay, this is like a slow start, but we see so much of Kevin McKay's life building up to him actually dealing with the last bus scenario. Let's call it that, driving down and navigating. And yeah, McConaughey is fantastic. He played somebody a little different than he usually plays, which is like some, really average guy. And I'm respectfully, right? And it was interesting to see him in that because I think sometimes you see a celebrity and you're like, oh, he's like the squeaky clean, fucking guy. And in this case, no, he was a little bit more hardened by life, and he's just a really good actor. He and the other lady too from Barbie and Dumb Money. I apologize, I don't want to say her name wrong, but dude, they had really good acting chemistry, some really powerful moments. It was not romantic, but it's just like friendly and human, and it was really good. And I think McConaughey, like, I just hope he continues to make make films, act. I know he will, but The Last Bus was a really good return for him. Paul Greengrass killed it. There was another writer on that. Can't remember, and maybe Kevin McKay gets like not a story by, but like some sort of like life rights because it is literally about his life. But Yeah, The Last Bus is on Apple TV if you haven't seen it. I think it is probably a 10 out of 10. Also, it's like the type of movie like people are going to watch because of the scenario. The Paradise Fire, like there's going to be outrage. I'm sure people in Paradise, they probably like appreciate the film got made, but there's also like a traumatic element to it. It'd be like watching a movie about 9/11, but having been there during 9/11. You might not want to relive it, and these are all off the top thoughts, but on the whole, The Last Bus was very, very good, emotionally powerful. It paid off heavy, and to make a movie about it's mostly on a bus, to make that riveting, entertaining, and they cut away to other like emergency services and other characters, but it was truly well done. And you can tell Paul Greengrass, he's an old hand. He made a truly great film. McConaughey, also, I wouldn't call him an old hand, but he's a very seasoned actor, and he's nothing but spectacular when he's on screen. He delivers, and God, he's just such a good emotional actor. I don't mean like crying and all that, but like he is just so authentic when he's up there. And for like a big budget movie, I imagine this movie had quite a bit of money behind it. Really good. Also great CGI. I don't know if you've seen some of other Apple TV originals like The Gorge, even Platonic and some of the other shows on there. They just have like productions fucking insane. Apple spares no expense. They go hard on their VFX, their CGI, all that. It's incredible. It really is. They released something else. I think it was F1. They make hit movies. They don't have a lot when you go on to Apple TV to select. You can buy movies, sure, you can get anything from the library, the catalog of fucking, everything that's been out there. But their actual originals and content, they keep it pretty limited, slim and trim, and, sometimes less is more. And I think Apple's really onto something with that. But yeah, The Last Bus, good, hit home. Obviously, it made me upset. I remember my buddy Dominic was so into that when it was going on. He was like, not conspiracy theorist, but yeah, conspiracy theorist. He's like, hey, like this, and that. And this is all before PG&E like owned up to it. And I don't know, when I think of that in The Last Bus, I just remember that day we were shooting with like, I think it was a Canon 7D or a Nikon, just out there filming the power lines. And like in 2013, my mind was free and fucking not thinking about like, oh, like this could really blow up in their face one day. And final note, shame on PG&E. You guys should have known better. A lot of people died. Anyways, on a positive note, life is good. Stevie's on the mend. I think we know what's going to be good with him. Christine just got her new role. The podcast is up, alive, well, running. And the holidays are right around the fucking corner. Maybe you'll have a little Halloween party or something, invite some people over, get somebody else to hand out this candy for me so I don't have to do it all fucking night. No, I'm just kidding. Carve some fucking pumpkins, I think I'll talk to you guys. What's today's date? I don't know. Like today's the 20th. Yeah, I'll definitely talk to you guys before Halloween. Anyways, guys, I think that's about all I got to say. I'm Devin Thomas, and this is another episode of Unscripted. I'll talk to you all next week.